Hey, what's up, guys? Producer Kev here. Just wanted to come to you on this Wednesday before the SEC title game. Just do a little hangout with you. Give you some statistics that I've been looking at for this SEC game. It's not going to be like the SEC games of the past. There's been some differences in the last couple of SEC title games, and then moving into this game that we got coming up this Saturday. So we're going to take a look at that. Obviously, we're going to do our live interaction chat with you guys here on the chat. It's just me today. I'm flying solo, so please be nice, as this is my first attempt at a solo show without John or anybody else. So please be generous, be kind to a guy as he flies solo for the first time. So we did a poll yesterday. I sent a poll out talking about what was your guys' favorite SEC championship game under the Nick Saban era, or ever, if you wanted to go back even further. We had a couple people go back to the 90s and say they enjoyed the 1992 SEC title game over Florida. I believe was played at Legion Field in Birmingham, Alabama. But we had 698 voters at the time that I did my stats and the time we're recording this. So that was definitely a good number turnout. We had 698 voters, and 349 of you guys, 50%, said that you enjoyed the 2009 victory over Florida. And everybody kind of knows that one as Tebow cries. And oh, what sweet tear those tears must have tasted like for Alabama fans as they knocked off Florida and Tebow cried. And we didn't have to hear about Tebow winning another national title and how great he was and all that stuff. Yeah, 349 of you, 2009. 293 chose the 2012 game over UGA. Sorry, I got my handy-dandy notepad with all my statistics going on. 14 said the Missouri game in 2014, and 42 chose other. And there was a lot. 1992 was the main one that we got response for in the other section. So yeah, we're moving into SEC championship week, and we just wanted to look back. Well, we're going to look back before we look ahead. That way I can kind of show you where these SEC title games have been and what Alabama has done in them, and then look ahead to what this game could be, as far as, does Georgia have what it takes to hang with them and all of that good stuff. So that 2009 game was 32-13 and led by Greg McElroy, of all people. He was 12 of 18, 239 and a touchdown. And then obviously Tebow, he was 20 of 30, 35. He had a touchdown and an interception. And Bama had Mark Ingram had 113 on the ground, and Trent Richardson had 80 on the ground. So there you have the large rushing numbers in that game for the Crimson Tide. That's kind of more the traditional Crimson Tide offense, and it's kind of gotten away, and you'll hear the numbers here in a minute on where they are now this year. The 2012 game was the 32-28 and the Georgia 32-28 over Georgia. And AJ led that game. AJ McCarron, he had 162 yards and one touchdown, one interception. But TJ Yeldon had 153 yards and a touchdown, and Eddie Lacy had 181 yards and a touchdown. So there you go again with the large rushing numbers and the smaller passing numbers that you're traditionally seeing out of the Alabama offense. William Lay's in the chat saying conflicting reports on bugs for this weekend. Yeah, I haven't heard a definite on bugs. I've definitely read conflicting reports as well on that for him. We'll get more into this weekend coming up, and so yeah, a look ahead. So we went back to those two games, heavy run for the Alabama Crimson Tide, and not a lot of passing offense. And if you've been watching, you've been keeping up, you kind of know where the trend on that is going for this year. So this year, 2018, the Georgia Bulldogs, their offense, or we'll start with their defense because their defense is going to have to stop this Alabama offense, and I just don't know if they're up to it. Their defense is ranked 10th nationally in scoring defense. They're allowing 17.2 points a game, and they're allowing 303 yards a game, 175 passing, 128 rushing. All right. Where the Bama defense is ranked 3rd nationally, 282 yards a game, 168 pass, 114 rush. So there's your two defenses. I really think that the Alabama defense is way in a better position right now than that Georgia defense. I think the Georgia defense, secondary-wise, is close to Alabama. I think that they haven't proven all year like the Alabama defense, the secondary has. Xavier McKinney, Deontay Thompson, Pat Surtain, Savion Smith, Shy Carter, the whole group, Patrick Surtain, they have all kind of proven themselves all year where you kind of got DeAndre Baker, and that's about it. For Georgia, I just don't know if that defensive secondary is going to have a tough time with this big receiving core. I mean, we've talked about it before. Who do you try to take away? If you try to take away Judy, who is, in some cases considered the number one threat, you take away Judy, then you still got Ruggs, you still got Devontae Smith, you still got Irv Smith. I mean, it's just there's too many weapons, I think, for this Alabama offense, for this Georgia defense to contend with, guys. I just think that it's Kev's a go. Thanks, John. Appreciate it. John couldn't be with us today. He joins us in the chat, and that's great. Appreciate it, buddy. So yeah, I just don't think the defense is secondary. I just don't think it's going to be enough to stop that potent offense, because I don't think they have linebackers that can match with Irv Smith. And so I think Irv could have a big game. It could be another breakout game for him, and I think he could solidify himself more as this kind of first-round talent that we didn't really see coming into the season, but now we've kind of seen him develop into this, projected first-round talent. All right, I'm just tweeting out the link here so everybody else can join. And Irv Smith definitely has bloomed into a nice talent and a good target for Tua. He's been the surprise of the offense, I believe, so far this year. And anybody else has their opinion on that, let me know. I think Jacobs is going to have a big game, says DJ. Yes, I think the run game is also poised for a big game, and we'll get to that when I talk about the offense and how I think they're going to do and how they're going to fare. The one thing that surprises me about the Georgia defense that I wasn't aware of until looking it up and looking up stats, Georgia's defense is ranked 101st in the country for sacks. They only have 20 sacks on the year. And I don't know. That number seems very, very low to me, where Alabama is ranked 5th in the country with 40 sacks. So you got a 20 sack difference going on, and it just screams Tua sitting in a clean pocket, and we know what Tua can do in a clean pocket, and it's pretty, and it's beautiful. He has time, he reads his progressions, and he makes big plays. So the Georgia defense is definitely going to have to play better than that. They're going to have to play. They're going to have to get pressure if they want any chance. We've said that before, and we've said it many a times. If anybody wants to have a chance against this offense, they have to put pressure on Tua. But now, even with Tua healthy, he can run. He's running better. So now what do? You get pressure on him. He takes off running. What do you do now? Touchdown or big play, third down conversion. All that stuff. DJ asked, who is Georgia's best defensive player this year? Baker, I think. I mean, that would be my opinion. Without having watched, I've watched a couple games of the Georgia defense preparing for this. I mean, there's not really a huge standout on that defense for me. I think that they're solid in the defensive backfield. They're good at linebacker, and they're decent up front. But that decent up front, I just don't think is good enough when we're talking about going against that Alabama offensive line with presumably Deontay Brown back healthy. He played in the Iron Bowl, and that offensive line looks different with him in there. We've said it before. I've said it before. He's kind of the catalyst of that run game, and it's just looked a lot better since he's been inserted into that starting role there at left guard for Lester Cotton. So the offense, the tail of the tape on offense for Georgia is, they're ranked 13th in the country for scoring. They're averaging 40 points a game. Not bad. So that's not bad. 40 points, they're 13th. They're averaging 480 yards on offense, 221 passing, 259 rushing. So there's where they're going to have to play, and they're going to have to do good, is the rushing game for their offense. It takes pressure off of Jake Fromm. I think that he definitely needs the running game to be up there because he's had an up and down year so far this year. He's thrown for 2,236 yards, 24 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. He's completing right around 70% of his passes, but I think that he struggled some in the middle of the year. I think that for him to perform well, I think that the running game is going to have to be on point for Georgia. And saying that, I just don't know if they can get enough going to see that. Alabama fan 123 just subscribe. Appreciate your subscription. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe. So yeah, it's just I don't think that that run game is going to be able to get going like they wanted to. I think that the defensive front and the linebackers are going to play a great game. Expect big things out of Dylan Moses this week. I think he's poised for another big game. Mac Wilson I see him stepping up. I think he'll play well. But the up front, those front guys again. If Isaiah Buggs isn't healthy, I think you'll see LeBron Ray, and I think you'll see a lot of LeBron Ray if Buggs can't go, which isn't a bad thing. I think LeBron Ray is definitely our early candidate for breakout for next year. I think he might have the opportunity to have that Quinnen Williams type breakout for last year or for next year that we saw this year from Quinnen. Some more in the chat. We got I go through the chat kind of as it happens, guys. I'm sorry. Who has a better defense, UGA, Auburn, or LSU? That's a good question, Christopher. In my opinion, it would be LSU. I think they have a more complete defense. I think that their secondary is one of the better ones around. I know it didn't look that way against Bama. Obviously, they have one of the best linebackers in the country in Devin White. So I think LSU has the better defense out of those three. Could we see a Jalen trick play? I definitely wouldn't put it past Loxley. I think he's thrown some things out there during the season. I think we've seen him line up and take jet sweeps. We've seen him line up in the backfield. I think, who knows? SEC championship week, who knows what happens? They could throw one out there, and I wouldn't put it past them. Who do you think makes the biggest impact on UGA's offense not named from DJ? It's going to have to be one of the running backs, either Swift or Holyfield. I think Holyfield is kind of maybe a little more built for this kind of game. The bigger of the two backs, the more downhill pound. But I also think Swift needs to have a big game if they're going to do well. Is also that two-headed monster. They're both, closing in close to 1,000 yards. Swift has 962. So you're looking at, a little less than 40 yards there to 1,000. And then Holyfield has 896. So he's 104 yards away from a 1,000-yard season. So they could get, 2,000-yard rushers in the season if they move on past Alabama, which, obviously they'll play in a bowl game and all that, but I just don't think it'll be a playoff game because I think that Alabama takes care of business. And then obviously on the offensive side of the ball for Alabama, we know how well Tua's performing this year. Swift is the better back in my opinion. Yeah, I think Swift is the better running back, but I think Holyfield is more of a pound, wear him out kind of guy, and Swift is their kind of change of pace guy. So I think they both need to have good games, and I do think that Swift is the better complete running back. But I think that if you want to try and wear out this defense, you're going to need Holyfield as well. Not saying that Swift can't pound the ball, but Holyfield is definitely the bigger of the two, and he's definitely the more downhill run right at you kind of guy. So they need both of them to have big games, in my opinion. UGA's best running success was out of the spread using Michelle's quickness. Can you see them having success that way? Don't think they can pound Bama from compressed sets. Now that's a good one as well. I think that if Holyfield pounding isn't working, and then you can spread them out, they can spread them out into in the shotgun 3 wide type sets and use Swift to the outside. But then again, you got to think you have Dylan Moses and you have Mac Wilson, who are two of the more athletic linebackers in the country, chasing down running backs. So we've seen Dylan Moses chase down receivers this year. So I think that the sideline to sideline defense for Alabama's could hold up against that stretch run game and that type of thing. Early prediction for offensive defensive MVP from DJ. Offensive MVP, I'm going to go cliche and say Tua just because, look at the season he's having. I keep wanting to pick someone else besides Tua in these situations, but I always have to end up coming back. I'll go Tua, and then sleeper Josh Jacobs. I think he could have a big game. And then on defense, Dylan Moses. I think Dylan Moses is going to have a good game. They're both going to have to play good to stop the run, but I think Dylan Moses is poised for that big time bright light stage kind of game So I think that he'll be my pick for defensive MVP. And then if he doesn't win it, probably Quinnen. Cliche again. Who's the better team, OU or Ohio State? We'll go with. I hate both of them, but right now I think if Ohio State doesn't have that loss to Purdue, then I think that we're talking about a completely different situation. If they don't have the blowout loss to Purdue, I think that they're sitting there waiting on Georgia to lose to get into the playoff. But now I think that now they have a tough game in Northwestern. Let's not sleep on Northwestern. Northwestern's played well this year. Excuse me. They traditionally play well late in the season, and I just think that, and no offense to Texas, but I actually think Northwestern is the better opponent out of the two championship games. No offense, Texas, but I think Ohio State has the tougher game. If Ohio State wins and Oklahoma wins, I don't know. That's why I'm not getting paid to pick the playoff, because that's a tough one, man. It'll be interesting. It'll definitely be interesting to see who gets in. If this whole thing falls into place like we think it's going to, Alabama wins, they beat Georgia, who's ranked number 4 right now. And then Clemson, if Clemson wins the ACC, which they're playing Pitt, so I would hope they win the ACC. And then obviously Notre Dame's not playing. They're ranked 3rd right now. They're not playing. And Georgia's ranked 4th, and they're playing Alabama. So you got OU sitting at 5 and Ohio State sitting at 6. And I think that with the way it's going right now, I think that Oklahoma gets in with a win, and Ohio State doesn't, just because of that loss to Purdue. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if that's what will happen, but I'm glad I'm not getting paid to pick that. Will Bama get in the playoffs if they lose to UGA? I think so. I honestly think so. Because you can't tell me that a one-loss Bama team or an Oklahoma or an Ohio State is better than a one-loss Bama team. I don't believe that. Texas is better than Northwestern. I think Northwestern's a tougher game than most people give them credit for, but we'll see how it goes on Saturday. Big 10, Big 12 championships. This should be interesting to watch. You get a rematch of the Red River shootout, Red River rivalry, whatever you want to call it, and then you get Northwestern, Ohio State. So we'll see how it goes, and then we'll be talking about playoffs come next week. We'll be here. We'll be here over the weekend probably, talking about playoffs. Hopefully we'll have the whole crew back over the weekend, and we'll talk playoffs and all that stuff. We got some stuff going on that I'm pretty excited about, hopefully. But yeah, changing gears, I'm all over the place. I got what they call ADHD, and I bounce from place to place. So if I lose you, sorry. Trying to stick with. The only place that I feel that there's an advantage for UGA in this SEC title game is the kicking game. My man Rex Specs. I think he is the only place where they have a clear advantage over the Tide, and I think that I don't see it coming down to it, but if it came down to it, that would be their big advantage, would be the kicking game. Will Nolan Smith flip to Bama? I don't know, man. I don't know. I tweeted out I tweeted out the picture with him and Tosh, and he posted a bunch of pictures from Bama, and those are really the only pictures we've seen of his trips. There was no I didn't see any pictures from the Tennessee trip. I didn't see any pictures. I saw an Instagram video from the UGA trip, but no pictures. So I don't know. I feel like there's some momentum going that way for him to flip, and I just think that we're gonna have to, unfortunately, wait until signing day to find out, because he's not gonna flip public. He's not gonna decommit publicly this far away from signing day, because even though he goes to IMG, he is a Georgia native. He's not going to deal with that decommitment and all of that leading up to signing day. So if it happens, it's going to happen signing day, and I'm not 100% saying he's going to flip, but there is kind of a trend that way, maybe. So maybe. Who does Chris Braswell remind you of? Yes. If you haven't already, check it out. We just posted a eval video for Braswell this morning, and he reminds me of a more athletic Christian Miller. I think that he's going to play that type of position. He's going to be that stand-up rush guy at Bama. He plays more traditional weak side defensive end at St. Francis, but I think that he's going to be more of a jack linebacker at Bama. Once he fills out, gets into that program with Scott Cochran, I think that he's going to get his weight up. He's at like 211. I think he could be up there in that 240, 245 range where Christian Miller is right now, once he gets into the program. So that's kind of who he reminds me of. He's a little more athletic, and can do – he looks more comfortable stood up. He looks more comfortable like dropping into coverage than Miller does. But yeah, that's kind of who he reminds me of. Check out the article on crimsonandbluechips.com, and then the videos. There's a link to the video plays there, or you can check it out on the YouTube channel as well. We just did that one this morning. Yeah, he's a good player though. 5-star out of St. Francis. He's the first 5-star in the 2020 class, and that class is number 1 in the country already, number 1 in the SEC, and looking good. Do you think it's more important for Bama to get a fast start in this game? Yeah, I think it's important to get a fast start in this game, just because if they get a fast start in this game, they can put it away. I think that if they get out to a fast start, it's going to put pressure on Kirby Smart, and I'm not saying it's going to happen if they get out to a big lead, and you might see that chance of abandoning the Jake Fromm and going with Justin Fields. I don't know if I'm not saying that's what's going to happen. But if you put Jake Fromm in a position where he's forced to throw the ball, I don't necessarily think him strictly throwing the ball is going to be able to beat you. How will Terrell Lewis impact this upcoming game? All right. Yeah, I was going to talk about that. If you haven't already, if you haven't been on social media in the last week and you haven't seen the miraculous, I guess was what you call it, the 5-month turnaround comeback for Terrell Lewis, it's been pretty amazing just to see him out there practicing with the team. It scares me a little bit putting him back out there in a game situation. I don't know how much he'll play. Maybe 10 to 15 snaps, and I think they use him kind of if they use him at all, I think it'll be situationally. I think he'll be used more in pass rush situations, third and longs, where they're kind of 100% sure that Georgia's going to be throwing the ball. So I think that'll be his impact if he plays at all. I think he'll be a situational guy this weekend. Can he still take a red shirt? Yes. If he plays in this game and then the next 2 games, he'll only have played in 3 games, and he can he'll be able to play, or he'll be able to take that red shirt because he wouldn't have played in 4 games. So the SEC championship, playoff 1, playoff 2, if Bama goes that far, which most people think they will, that'll be 3 games. He can still redshirt. Williams says, I hope Lewis doesn't play and waits until December 29th. And that could be another one too. You got to get back into shape. I mean, he hasn't played live football since the national championship game last year. So, you got to get yourself back into playing shape. You just can't run out there and expect to play, a bunch of plays right off. So you got to get yourself back into playing shape. That's kind of my thought as to why he's practicing now, getting himself into shape for a playoff run maybe. And that would be a little more – I'd feel a little more better about that extra month, that 6th month instead of 5 months coming back from the ACL surgery. I would just feel I'd feel better about that in my head. I feel like a 6-month recovery it's given that extra month to heal. 5 months is just really, really fast, in my opinion. Granted, he's a freak of nature, but that's just a lot. That's just real quick, and it scares me. I just don't want to see a kid go out there and before he's ready and re-injure himself, and now you're looking at that I just blow millions of dollars, stuff like that. Because I think he can be a high draft pick if he gets himself right. Is Deontay Brown Alabama's best offensive lineman right now? DJ, you can make a case for that considering how good that Alabama offensive line has looked with him in there, and how not bad, but how mediocre they've looked without him. But I don't think that I don't think he is the best. Obviously, I think Jonah Williams is the best offensive lineman probably in the country right now. But yes, Deontay Brown is definitely either pushing for second right now or pushing for third right there. I would go Jedrick Wills and then Deontay Brown. You could probably flip-flop them. So yeah, I think that's a good question though. Will Georgia's offensive line be the best Bama has faced this year? Yeah, probably. I was sitting there trying to think about the other offensive lines. I mean, I would go with them. I'd probably say Georgia and then Mississippi State. But yeah, Georgia's definitely probably the better offensive line that they'll play this year. And then Deontay Brown's the linchpin of the running game. Is he going to play? As far as I know, I haven't seen anything saying that he isn't. He definitely played. He played in the Iron Bowl, so I would imagine he's going to play in the SEC title game. So, yeah. So we can look real quick. I'll look real quick to the rest of championship weekend. Around the country, the ACC title game. Georgia's a 26-point favorite. Georgia. Clemson's a 26-point favorite in the ACC title. Oh, it's moved up to 27.5 now. Sorry, 27.5. 27.5 points over Pitt. Clemson, I think, wins that pretty easily, even though Pitt has given them trouble in the past. The Pac-12 game, God, the Pac-12 just pooped all down its leg. You had a top 10 team in Washington State fighting for a playoff position. They lose to Washington, and now they're not even in the Pac-12 title game. So Washington, Utah. Washington's a 5.5-point favorite. I think that I think Utah wins, to be honest. Texas, Oklahoma. I think Oklahoma wins the rematch. They probably should have won the first one. Memphis, UCF. UCF, a 3-point favorite. Lost the quarterback. Probably should have lost the first time to Memphis. Oh, it pains me to say, but let's go with Memphis. I think Memphis takes the cake, ends the win streak. Georgia, Alabama. Alabama wins. Boise State, Fresno. I think I don't know much about either one of those teams, but I hear Fresno's having a good year. Let's go with Fresno. And then Northwestern, Ohio State. God, my heart wants to say Northwestern, but I just think Ohio State probably wins that one as well. So, yeah, will Evan Neal start as a freshman for Bama? DJ, we don't even know if Evan Neal's coming to Bama, but I think he will. I think he is going to. I think he's going to be in the 2019 class. I believe he will be. Will he start as a freshman? Will he start as a freshman? Maybe because they're gonna have a lot leaving, a lot to replace. You're gonna have to replace Jonah. You're gonna have to replace Wills, Lester Cotton. I mean, Pierce Baker. So you never know. Evan Neal's the type of kid I think they could probably do it as a freshman. And will he do it? Maybe. I'll go maybe. If he comes to Bama, there's a chance he could. Do we have a chance with Akeem Dent? I haven't heard much buzzings about Dent. He is he's still a FSU commit. And I haven't heard much as far as Bama momentum or anything like that. Do we still have a shot at Jeff Carter? I think so. I think Carter would be the more likely out of the two between him and Dent to flip. So I would say Jeff Carter is more likely than Akeem Dent. So, guys, it's been fun. I appreciate you guys coming on and being nice to me this time. Being my first solo show. Kind of maybe expect more of these as we move forward with Crimson and Blue Chips, and that way. Sorry, excuse me. But expect maybe some more solo shows. This was kind of just wanting to get my feet wet. There's a lot going on in the world for everybody else, but we definitely wanted to have a show for you this week, at least one show for you this week. I appreciate you guys coming out, supporting. Appreciate you being interactive in the live chat. That makes it a lot easier on me as well. Hold on. Will Talia flip? See? I don't know. I don't think so. Honestly, I don't think so. If anybody has a chance, it's LSU, but I don't think so, in my opinion. I've said before I thought he was going to flip, but I just don't know. Don't think so. Think he's a solid. If anybody has a chance, LSU, that's it. No other chances. LSU's the only one. But yeah, thank you guys again for coming out. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. click the bell notification button. That way you get notifications when we come on, when we post other videos that aren't live videos. And then obviously go follow the social medias if you haven't. Crimson and Blue Chips on Facebook, CABC Pod on Twitter and Instagram. Thank you guys so much for coming today. I really appreciate it. You really don't know how this has been coming for a long time, me doing a solo show, but I was so like, John's been like trying to get me to do one by myself for a long time. But I finally got up the balls to do it today. And like I said, I appreciate you guys coming and being interactive. That helps a lot. Thank you guys so much. Have a great day. And maybe I'll see you again before the SEC title game. If not, then we'll definitely see you after the SEC title game. And so have a great week as we get prepared for it. God bless. CABC out. Thank you guys.